our next live Q&A session as part of the Tunisian Crochet Summit. So I am joined for this session by Courtney from Creations by Courtney. So Courtney has been designing for quite a few years, and she has a lot of Tunisian patterns under her belt. So if you have any questions about the type of stitches that you might want to use for a particular project or anything like that, then Courtney is your person. So Courtney, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us how you got started with crochet and Tunisian crochet designing, and if this is your full-time job or not? Just fill us in on everything.
All right. Well, hi everyone. I am not super serious. This is why I will keep smiling, waving thumbs up. That is just who I am. I live outside of Atlanta, Georgia. It's where I grew up. I left for school, and then I eventually found my way back here with my husband and our 3 kids. You probably have seen my twins if you follow me on social media, because my girls love to be in front of the camera. They love to help me with my crochet stuff. And as Sarah mentioned, I do not do this full time, but I'm working on it. By day, I am a therapist, technically a doctor in psychology, but who needs to be that serious? But designing, I decided to start in 2017. I've been crocheting since I was a kid, and I probably did my first Tunisian project. Oh, I made a burp cloth of all things.
It's very practical.
Right? It was a gift for someone. I'm trying to remember who it was, but I made a burp cloth, and I used some what was that? Sugar and cream, which is now peaches and cream cotton. It was pink and white. Really didn't know what I was doing, but I knew enough, and it was like simple stitches, and it looked complicated because of the 2 colors. And since then, I've branched into like the Tunisian double stitch. This one is so fun because it moves a bit more than Tunisian simple stitch. I love making garments. I haven't done a Tunisian garment yet outside of a poncho, but it's coming. I'm waiting for the right idea to click, because I think I finally figured some things out recently for a design idea. So I'm ready to jump into it, but I was like, ooh, I should probably finish those other 2 projects in the corner first.
Yeah, it's always hard to get something finished, isn't it?
So hard. Especially if one becomes frustrating. That was this week. I was working on something. I was like, I put it down. So I picked up a Tunisian hook, started on a stitch, and I was like, nope, frogged it. Now I'm on to a completely different stitch.
Yeah. Once the ideas start flowing, it's really hard to make yourself actually go back and finish anything. Yeah, I think I would be happiest if I could just come up with the ideas and the stitch patterns and then just give it to someone else to finish it. I need to find somebody to do that. I have tried to get my mother to do it, but she just doesn't take it seriously enough. So she just never gets anything finished. So sorry, Mom. Anyway, yeah, if you want to volunteer to finish my projects, let us know.
I mean, that could become a serious paid gig for someone. If I'll start it if you just finish it. Thank you so much. Here's some money for your effort. I would absolutely pay for that.
Yeah, I would also pay for it. So Courtney's video is demonstrating some Tunisian crochet stitches that you might not have seen before, and it's not actually available to watch until tomorrow. But we can talk about it now and give you a little taster so that you can get excited for it. So already today, Courtney, we've covered the Tunisian simple stitch, the purl stitch, the knit stitch. We've talked a lot about the basic stitches. But your class is actually about some stitches that I wasn't really familiar with, actually, and especially the Tunisian half double crochet had me bamboozled. With regular crochet, the half double crochet is one of my favorite stitches, and I don't know, just the extra loop or something in it with Tunisian, I couldn't get my head around it.
Yes, so the Tunisian half double is my favorite, hands down. Yes. So okay, first off, there's so much to Tunisian. Do you go through the vertical loop on the front, go between the legs, this way, that way, right? So there's so many different ways, even twisting the stitches. It creates such amazing texture, and I love texture in crochet. But something about the half double, it just speaks to me in a completely different way. that I just love how it looks super complicated, but once you remember how to make it, it just flows.
Yeah.
It just flows.
Do you find that you have to keep track of like the loops? This is what I found a bit tricky with it.
Yeah,
You just
well, in the beginning.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, like it's the muscle memory because like with my regular crochet, my hands want to default to double crochet. I
Yeah.
may be doing single, half double, and then I'm doing all these extra yarn overs and pull throughs. I'm like, wait a
Yeah.
second, I just did like 5 double crochets. I was supposed to be doing singles. And so that one just feels a little more natural for that impulse to yarn over for me when I do Tunisian. And I love Tunisian because of the rhythm. Like it's very meditative for me, which is why I picked up a project and ignored the other one that like I really do have to finish because of a deadline. But I was like, nah, let me just do a little Tunisian project. It's this big so far, and I need it to probably be at least this big. Oops.
All right. We have some questions coming in, so I'm going to start firing these at you.
Okay.
Courtney, okay. This is a good one. How many different Tunisian stitches are there? I don't know. There are
Oh my gosh. Oh, I knew I should have written this down. Okay, so there is this book that is out of print, and
Huh.
periodically I see if I could find an affordable copy. When I say that this book is coveted, I was like, what is the rule around like reprinting an outprint book? But supposedly this one book has 400 different Tunisian stitches in it.
No way.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my God. I did not even realize there were that many.
Right, because the typical like stitch dictionary, and it depends, like, there's like the small ones, you'll get like 50 to 60. And then if it's like the bigger books, what's the one that I have? I should know the name. I literally was carrying it with me yesterday, trying to figure out this project I suddenly picked up. That one I want to says 99, maybe 100, but there is a book with 400. It's just the last I looked, it was like $300
Okay.
being resold. And I was like, as much as I want it, not for 300, because
Yeah.
300
You
is
have to
yarn,
get
hooks, more yarn, more hooks.
yeah,
Priorities.
a lot for a book. I wonder if it's one of those Japanese stitch dictionaries. You know the way they have like a
Oh,
huge
yes. Yes. I haven't gotten
yeah,
those.
and it's you don't know where it's printed.
Oh, it's a US author.
Oh, it's the US. Oh, wow.
Yes. I'll
Well,
find the name and I'll send it to you, and then you can share it
yeah,
during one of the upcoming
yeah.
lives.
So everyone can be on the lookout for it. Then it sounds like the kind of thing you'd find in some old bookstore. When you thought it was
Exactly.
worthless, and you were like, no, this is really good.
Exactly. That's why I keep hoping for. Like, I'm like, I think it's a good day to go thrifting
Yeah.
to see what I can find.
Yeah, that sounds great. Actually, we did have a question that someone submitted before the summit asking, do you have any books or resources for finding new Tunisian crochet stitches? There are lots of stitch dictionaries for regular crochet, but not so many for Tunisian. So in print books, do you have any recommendations?
Okay. So my favorites, my first go-tos are any of the books by Kim Guzman.
She has just a wealth of
Right?
Tunisian crochet.
Right?
Yeah.
She is a true OG when it comes to Tunisian crochet. So any of her books, like even Annie's has a workshop on Tunisian lace stitches. It's a video. Now you might find it on Amazon and it might have the DVD, but I couldn't tell you last time I had a DVD player. So the Annie's version, I believe, is digital.
Okay.
And there's short rows in Tunisian. So that's like making fun shapes within a scarf. There's that book. And what's so amazing is that there's written chart, picture, and information on how to find the videos. Or even if you just go to YouTube, pull up, type in Kim Guzman, all of her videos come up. And like that is one of my hands down favorite go-to
Yeah.
besides the Tunisian Stitch Dictionary, which is a more recent publish. Yeah. I want to say within the past 2 years. Those two are my hands down.
I might get the name of the book off you afterwards, and then I can share the link to it, and I can share the link to.
Absolutely. I'll put them all together because
Yeah, that'd be
I
great.
can go grab them, but y'all be waiting for a while because, my bookshelf is organized.
You have 3 kids. Nothing is organized. You have to.
Exactly. I set it there and I'm like, where did that go? Someone moved it. Someone's always moving it. And if it's not the kids, it's the puppy.
Oh, you have a puppy as well. Yeah, it's coming at you from all angles.
Literally.
So Nessa has just shared a resource here. So her friend MDL Crochet has been digging up a bunch of Tunisian crochet stitches and putting them on YouTube. So that's super, actually. That's great.
Nice. I'm going to write that down. Excuse me, y'all, as I look away so I can look this up later.
Notes, and I'll go looking for the next question. Okay. So, can you recommend a Tunisian stitch pattern that works up quickly? I know in normal crochet, a double crochet is one of the fastest stitches. Is there something similar in Tunisian? So there is a double crochet, isn't there?
Yes. Honestly, I think the Tunisian double works pretty well, as well as just when you say quickly, like, do you mean quick to make a single row or the height per row? Because if you want to go height so that the project grows faster, I would probably say the Tunisian double stitch, just because it's so similar.
They are so similar, and it gives a really nice texture. It doesn't look anything really like a double crochet, I don't think, except that you're speaking of the puppy, he knew you were talking about.
She barks at anything. Cars, leaves, birds, the wind. So sorry, y'all.
Okay, let me have a look at our questions here. Okay, so this is a good one. I've been trying to make a sampler blanket using different Tunisian crochet stitches, but I cannot seem to keep the rows the same width as I change between the stitch patterns. Do you have any tips? So I'm assuming it's like a wide blanket and she's just changing in strips rather than it being in squares.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a really good question. And what I would experiment with is maybe taking extra yarn, the stitches that you want to use, and make small swatches to see how it changes, especially the width. Like a Tunisian knit stitch is so pretty, but like the width of it is different than a Tunisian simple stitch, especially when you do your yarn over and pull through too. Because I've noticed when I do things, like sometimes I may yank it, or if I'm trying to pull more yarn out of the ball, it tightens it and then it shrinks the stitch this way. And so to account for that, it may come down to make your little swatches, and then you might want to adjust your hook size for each section to keep them relatively the same. And then don't be afraid to block.
Yeah.
Fiercely. I like to say when doing a lace pattern, I will block it to the edges of its life. Make sure that it's really, really open. I stretch that bad boy. I start with the corners and then work my way in and pull and pull and pull. And I'm like, hopefully these stitches will hold. And they always do. It's kind of nerve-wracking to pull it and it starts that U shape, but the yarn is sturdy. Blocking is our friend.
You can do a lot. You can do a lot with blocking. I know it's a bit more work if you have to kind of figure out the gauge for different stitch patterns and everything. But it's interesting, isn't it, how even if you use the exact same yarn, the exact same hook, just by changing the stitch pattern, they're not going to be the same size. And it's the same with regular crochet. I think for me anyway, for some reason, my single crochets are like the tightest thing known to man. And then double crochet, they're really loose. So
yes,
I don't know what's going on, but gauge, measuring, a little bit of math, I think.
Yeah, just have a couple of hooks handy. I think that's the way to go. Anyways, I usually have at least 3 different hook sizes in my project bag.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to need them.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have another question here from JT. So what are your favorite stitches?
So besides the Tunisian half double stitch, it's hard not to love the classic Tunisian simple. And then a third would probably be the Tunisian double because I just don't see it as often. I'm one of those people that like to be outside of the box. So whether it's texture, stitches, or color, that's usually my go-to. And so I'm always trying to figure out what hasn't been used like 35,000 times.
Yeah,
So hopefully it looks brand
you know,
new.
Tunisian simple stitch dishcloth.
Right. But
Even though
so
I'm actually making one of those at the moment, so I shouldn't doubt myself. And I
right.
mean, it looks beautiful. The thing is, I love the simple stitch as well.
Yes.
But yeah,
And
I
I
know what you
mean,
mean. You want to put out something that's a bit original and that people haven't seen before.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like the Tunisian net stitch. You may not know that one, but I do have a tutorial. Um, it is a Tunisian knit stitch pearl. That's one stitch.
Ah, I don't know that one. So is that where you do the yarn in front for the pearl, but you do a knit stitch instead?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
so it's a mouthful, but it's really straightforward and it creates a really, really nice texture, especially when you pair it with something else.
mhm.
And so it's just like, ooh. So really it comes down to like you can create your favorite stitch. And I'm probably going to experiment to see if I could take my favorite stitch from crochet and translate it to Tunisian.
That would be a really fun
Yes,
experiment.
so stay tuned for that. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want y'all to hold me accountable if it's a complete flop. But it's on my to-do list to see if it'll translate because I just think it will look interesting.
Flop. There's no such thing. It's just an experiment, and you can always rip it out, which is the best thing about yarn.
Exactly. Flogging is our friend.
Yeah. Okay, so I have another question for you, and I'm just going to ask you this because we were just talking about it a little while ago. So, what is a good beginner garment to try in Tunisian crochet, or should I try to make something easier before I try a garment? So, you were talking about you had a design in mind
Yes.
for a garment.
So some people don't consider it a garment, but I think anything that's a wearable counts as a garment. So one way to start would be to make a poncho. And the easiest way to make a poncho is make a really big rectangle and then just seam it on one side. Fold it in half and seam it at the shoulder. And that way you have a neck opening. Or if you want to make two rectangles, then you put them together like the L shape and then like so. Probably not the best hand shape, but I think you get the idea. And
Yeah.
then
So, and you have a poncho pattern in the VIP class, don't you? Is that how you made that one? Is it two rectangles or what?
yes, it was. And I used two different stitches. So the Tunisian simple and the Tunisian half double, and then a striping yarn. So it's very eye catching, but so straightforward and minimal seaming because who has time for that?
Yeah, I know. Loads of people don't like seaming. So for the Garmin Summit, with Hannah and Veronica, my class was about seaming. And as soon as we went on to do the Q&A, the chat was full of, I hate seaming, I hate seaming, I hate
No, but you shared a tip.
seaming.
I was like, huh, I've never done my mattress stitch like that. I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that what I call the mattress stitch is called something else. I think in the US it might be that whole US, UK
But that's
terminology
okay.
again, but that's okay. Yeah.
Exactly, because we're all learning and now we all know new things to make our crochet more enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying for a first garment, go for something that has minimal shaping. Because I was talking about this with Andrea earlier, and we were more talking about things that like are kind of more fitted to your body. So you've got like, some neckline shaping, some shape
Hmm.
bust, or even the underarm.
Yeah,
They're definitely a bit more involved. Um,
right.
and I mean, I know you can get tops, like kind of tank tops, and they're just two rectangles. But what we were
Hmm.
saying was that that actually cannot fit so well along the neck sometimes, but you can
Right.
make a poncho or even those, what are they called? Is it ruana? Where,
Yes.
yeah, so it's kind of like one of those pocket shawls, but it's wide
Hmm.
and it just sits over the front. So that's basically just two rectangular panels here, one at the back, and then
Yep.
yeah.
Or if you're team seamless like I am, think of it like making a blanket, and that when you get to the halfway point, just work halfway on the row, do that side, and then do the other half, and then you don't have to worry about it
And
for
don't.
the Ruana. There we go. Sorry. I don't know what my mouth was trying to say. But
No,
no, those are great ways to start garments. Or even this is the Tunisian lattice top. It's just two rectangles and then ribbing to hold it all together. So it's open on the sides And so the front looks the same as the back. Well,
That's good. Oh, that's
there we
beautiful.
go.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So what stitch is that done with?
This one is the Tunisian double stitch with a yarn over, which is, I guess, the Tunisian version of a chain one, skip one. So it's like a little lace pattern. So
Yeah,
it's 3 Tunisian double, then a yarn over, and you skip a stitch.
cool. All right. Sorry, I'm just flipping back to the questions here to see if there's anything we haven't answered. So this is one that someone submitted earlier as well. How do you choose a stitch pattern for a project? For example, a scarf versus a garment.
Oh, that's a great question. Both a scarf and a garment need a good amount of drape, but obviously a garment is going to need more drape, and drape just refers to how it hangs on the body, like how it sits. Will it move when you move? I don't know any of us who want to wear anything too stiff, and so you want to think about, how does the stitch work up? This is why making a swatch is so important. So you can practice the stitch, practice your tension, make sure that they look even, but then how will it move? So the Tunisian simple stitch, everyone should know by the end of this weekend, it will curl. We can't do anything about the curl besides using a bigger hook, and it will still curl some. So if you love a stitch, but it feels really dense and thick, just go up in hook size. That way there's more space between the stitches. And that's the easiest way to figure out, is just do a swatch. If you like it in a square this big, you'll likely like it when it's this big, whether that's a scarf or a garment.
Yeah, that's a really good tip, I think. I suppose to start with, scarves are a bit more forgiving, are they?
Yes.
The stitch pattern. With the garment, you do have to put in that little bit of extra work at the start.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think what you've done with the top that you're wearing there is a really good idea. So you could have a very dense stitch pattern, but then if you put in the little chains, that's going to be more drape, and it'll sit better and flow more nicely.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Oh, I see the comment by Yarn Armor.
Yeah,
Awesome. You should make this top.
I'm going to make it as well. I think I'd be capable of that.
I think I need to make one in purple. I think that's what I need to do for the summer, is make a purple version of this, because yellow is a fun summery color, but purple is like my favorite. And that way I can take it into fall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, purple doesn't look great on me, but when I see it on other people, I think it looks really nice, but it doesn't do anything for me. Okay, so let me just go back to the questions. I think we've almost answered everything. So this isn't related to the stitches, but we have a question from Elaine saying, how do you sew seams so they're invisible and ideally not overly bulky? So your answer is going to be to avoid seams.
Yes, that's my first choice. Is yes, to avoid seams. And what's so amazing about, at least with Tunisian, is that like it's so easy to put the seams together, because I always work in the back bump for that foundation row. That way you see the chains, but then even the sides create like nice chains. So it makes it easier to do something like the mattress stitch, where you want to zigzag. The whip stitch, you go around, you're going to see it. But if you zigzag through the stitches and then pull tight, it comes together so beautifully, so beautifully. And it's not bulky. It has a little bit of movement if you don't pull too tight, but we want them tight enough to help hold the shape, especially if you use a yarn that will stretch over time as you wear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We were saying this earlier too in one of the other calls. Working a border or seaming panels with Tunisian is so much easier, because you have those really defined lines and you don't have to worry about where you're putting in the hook and everything. It's like really obvious. So yeah, I love the mattress stitch too. I think that is a really good one. Okay, so I think we're coming to the end of our session, Courtney. Thank you so much. I'm just going to go and grab some links for you. So where's the best place for people to connect with you? Is it Instagram? Is it your website?
Yes, to both. No, my website is a great place, because that's where I have my patterns and tutorials, as well as some informational posts about garment making, as well as Instagram. I do hang out on Facebook, but Instagram I have a lot of fun with, and sharing, putting together reels. I think I'm actually getting pretty good at the reels and finding some fun stuff to put together.
Are you? Tips. It takes me like 2 hours to make a reel, but it's 30 seconds.
So here's the thing. I will admit, I will put something together and I will think that I posted, and then I get distracted by the kids and I go to pick up my phone later and be like, oh, I forgot to actually hit publish. So then it takes me 3 hours sometimes. And so you might see me post something at 11 o'clock at night because I was like, well, I did all this effort. It's going out.
Yeah, it has to go out. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Exactly.
So I've linked
Exactly.
to
So
Courtney's
yes.
Instagram and her website there, and I'm also going to pop in a link to our Tunisian VIP pass. So Courtney has contributed a beautiful poncho pattern to that. So if you are wanting to get started with Tunisian crochet garments, I think that would be a really good one to start with, because you don't have to deal with a lot of shaping or anything. You can just make your rectangles and get some practice with the cable and working those longer rows and everything.
Yes.
That's going to be really good. So in the VIP pass, we have access to all of the classes that we're running today and tomorrow. So you'll get lifetime access to those. And we'll have the replays for all of our live Q&As, as well as the 14 crochet patterns from our designers, as well as a beautiful ebook that we've put together with all of the information that the designers have provided, so that you can have a read of that offline if you want to take a break from videos. So the link is there if you would like to grab that. Courtney, thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a fun chat. I have really, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much. So I'll see everybody back here in about half an hour for the last live of the day. So take care, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.